All right. Hey. Rob, that's a creepy face, dude. I don't know what you're doing there. That was creepy. So, hey, welcome to Sessions with Sam. If you've never been here before, welcome. Throw a hello in the chat, and we'll say hello back to you. I want to introduce Moe. Are you ready for it? I'm going to get it right here. Alhassan.
There it is.
Alhassan.
Wow.
There you go. I've been
There it
working on
is.
that for about 2 weeks. So I know he's being nice. I probably didn't get it right, but Mo is one of our partner essays, right? Is that correct?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
All righty. Tell us a little about yourself.
A little bit about me. Let's see. So actually, I manage a team of partner SAs, an incredible team. They help partners build, manage, market, and sell products with AWS. Um, budding serverless specialist.
Yes.
Kind of why I'm here. And oftentimes on Monday and Wednesday, you'll find me on Twitch streaming Howdy Partner with partners, right? So Monday I was actually on stream with Flowmail. It's a cool network observability partner. And on Wednesday, Okta was on. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You work with AM over there. AM was also works in that group. AM's crazy. AM and I did a show together last year on Happy Little APIs, and I found out he used to be a elementary teacher. Did you know that?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yes, SAM CLI 1.9. I see some people mentioning that. It did come out. If you're not familiar with that, what you got out of that was cache builds and parallel builds. Big time. They also fixed the problem that it was introduced in 1.7 for some layer issues. So that was fixed as well. So Bandalacerum, maybe I'm saying that wrong. Hello, I'm glad you're here. Also with me is Rob, who helps us out, and that was weird. I guess the thumbs looked weird to me. I don't know what that is. So all right, today's session, and yeah, if you saw that, today is the last session with Sam's for the season. I'm not saying we're done, but we're going into there's AM. AM's joining us. Like, you got a following, Mo. Like our viewership like tripled because you're on the show. Mo will be joining us every session from here on out, and so that's great. So
for the rest of season 2.
That's right, for the rest of season 2. So today we're going to be talking about utilities, SAM utilities, and some other utilities that you can use to build serverless applications. One of the questions we get a lot is, how do I develop locally? What does my pipeline look like? And in the last session, and several sessions now, we've been talking about, how do we do things locally? So we covered things like, doing the SAM local start API, SAM local invoke. How do we talk to services in the cloud? But now I want to talk about utilities that are built into SAM, or some other ones that can help you get quicker about developing locally and help you get your code out faster. So Mo is going to do most of the work on this session. I'm pretty excited about that. He's kicking in and going to take over this. Rob and I are just going to heckle him. It's not fair, but that's how it works.
Okay.
This is the first time Mo's hearing about that, but that's just the way it goes here on Sessions with Sam. I do see AM is out there as well, so I'm sure. AM is saying we can't have you. Looks like we already got him. What? Just throwing that out there. So there is. He will fight. Okay. He's threatening us now. I love his icon, by the way. So, all right, Mo, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to share your screen, we'll bring that up. Let's get started. Tell us what you got. Oh, we don't want the Inception thing there. There we go. Ready? There it is. Okay. All righty.
How are we looking? Good?
Yeah, we are good. You might hold that one up a little bit, but yeah, we're good.
Cool. So we're going to be using, there we go. We're going to be using the Hello World example from Lambda Power Tools. So Lambda Power Tools is a set of utilities that helps you with tracing, logging, metrics when it comes to Lambda in particular. What I've done is I've changed it just a tiny bit. I've changed one of the event sources. I'll show you everything that I changed. But for the most part, this example, if you want to follow along, will be, the example you should use. So let's hop in here. So you'll see I have my template, and I know I want to, for people who've watched this before, this is obvious, right? But this is our template. This is just CloudFormation, and up top it does a transform, right? And that kind of brings us to our first SAM CLI command, SAM validate. So SAM validate, what it does essentially is it actually does the transform. It checks to see if it's valid cloud formation. Now, I was testing this out, right? So I was like, okay, does it check to see if it's YAML, right? And the answer is no, it doesn't. It actually checks to see if it's valid cloud formation. You can see here, it's throwing an exception. It's not actually outputting anything, right? Whereas if I fix this and I add a property that doesn't exist, like Moe, which might be a property after the show, right? But if I save,
we're working on it. Yeah, I'm doing a custom resource with Moe as a property.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I add that Moe property, you'll see the output there specifically says the template provided is not is an invalid SAM template. So again, it's doing the transform. It's not checking to see if this is YAML. It's actually seeing is this cloud formation, and you'll see Moe is not a supported property of function, right? So SAM validate pretty useful.
Here's why I'm interrupting, and I want to call that out, and Moe just called that out as well. This is not a YAML lint. And I think that's what a lot of folks are looking for. Well, my YAML's bad. Well, write better YAML. So, or get a YAML linter, but this is not a YAML. Sorry, that sounded really mean. That came off wrong. Rob, I'm sorry about that. I apologize to both you and Moe. But yeah, you got to get that YAML better. But this actually does the transform. So I think that's critical to note. Thanks, Moe.
Right. Yep. So the rest of the template is pretty straightforward. We'll talk about the resources first. You'll see I have a function here. I named the function. We can talk about that in a second. I'm expecting pushback from that already. And then I have an SQ. And one thing to point out, I think you can see, is that this uses the serverless function construct. And then this uses just the regular SQS CloudFormation construct, right? So if you were writing vanilla CloudFormation, you would probably see something that looked like this. You would probably use this instead. In this case, we're not writing vanilla CloudFormation, we're writing SAM, right? So we're using the serverless function construct. This is pretty useful, in particular, when it comes to this part here. You see this events property. This events property is unique to SAM, right? It's unique to SAM. There's not an analog for CloudFormation. And what it does is it actually what the events property does is it sets up this SQ here as a event source for this Lambda function. And what you would have to do in CloudFormation instead is you would have to have an event source mapping, essentially, right? You have to write all this YAML. And obviously this is for Kinesis, not for SQS, but this does the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to do that anymore. It also implicitly comes up with an IAM role too, which is super useful. Everything else is fairly straightforward. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you going to show, in fact, if you can, and I don't want to jump ahead in what you're talking about, but I want to jump ahead on what you're talking about. Are you going to show the SAM validate? Can you do an output from the SAM validate? Do you know how to do that? So SAM validate and then -- debug.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, so there you go. So watch this. There's your validated template. And the cool thing here is you can see how the serverless function was split into multiple things. So you have your SQS, you have probably some policy, there's a role that was created for your function. All this is really handy if you're trying to figure out what is that transform going to look like. And Rob made a great call out, and this has got John Walsh to me said he's gotten this caught on this too, but you have to have a valid AWS account, number one, and you have to be logged. Your credentials need to be set. And of course, I use ASP, as we've talked about on the show before. If you try to do it without valid credentials, it will blow up and ask you for valid credentials. So good call out. And that tells you that it's calling AWS to get the latest validation parameters. Is that the way you say that? Validation parameters for a SAM template. So yeah, great call out. ASP, that's right.
And then you can see here, like I was saying, instead of doing that event source mapping, the serverless function construct does it for you.
That's right.
So that's nice to see there. So this is the template. Like I said, very straightforward here. I wanted to go up to the globals real quick and talk about what these do, right? So these globals, they globally set some properties for, in this case, your Lambda function. So if you had multiple Lambda functions, and you wanted to have all of them have a timeout of 5 seconds, you could do this. If you wanted to have all of them use the Python 3.8 runtime, you could do that. Tracing, if you want to use X-ray, I have that set to active. And then this part here, these are just environment variables, but in particular, you can see some special environment variables for Lambda Power Tools. So the logging level is going to be info versus like debug, which would give you some deeper context into what's going on. Power Tools has the logger actually will sample for you. So it will sample, in this case, 10% of all of the requests, and it will sample them and actually debug them for you, which is pretty cool. We'll see that later. We're also logging the event later on, and I'll illustrate all of this, and then obviously some Power Tools, some other like proprietary constructs there, just a namespace and a service name. In this case, it's Messenger. It could very well be like payments or whatever, right? Nothing crazy. And if I could spell, it would be payments. And then in app.py, this is just our code, and it's actually also doing nothing crazy. It uses this logger.info construct here to instead of printing. I have this habit of when I'm playing with like proof of concepts, or when I'm just like trying out new features, and I need to debug, I'll use a bunch of print statements. Not a good way to do it, right? In this case, I'm using logger.info. I'm saying message received, and actually we'll show you later on down the line what the logs will look like. But yeah.
All right, I'm gonna interrupt you for 1 second. This is not the first appearance of Python on Sessions with Sam, Rob Sutter. Rob Sutter has made it. Now, to get good Python, we probably have to have Moe on again, because I don't think you're any better at Python than I am. Maybe you are, Rob. I'm not sure. But I'm not a Python guy. So this is fun to see Python instead of Node. Hey, we have a question here, and I'm not sure I can answer. Anton Babenko says, "Hi guys, does AWS work on language server protocol in the implementations for SAM? How can you learn SAM CloudFormation by heart?" I don't know on that one, and I can check on that one. I'm not sure I have that. Yeah, Rob's saying he doesn't know the first part either. Okay, yeah. Good to know. Okay.
First, hi Anton. Thanks for all your work on Terraform.
Yes.
So as it said there, yeah, I don't think we do the standard support, but I don't know for sure. So I didn't want to put that answer there on the record. But I know there's lots of language servers that will help, like CloudFormation Lent and other tools.
And those are built in, or the plugins are built into the AWS tooling as well for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
The AWS toolkit for Visual Studio Code.
The stat for appearance of .NET is 1. Thank you, AM. Well, now we're moving on. 2 times maybe. No, it's
AM .NET
2. So
yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. So back in here, you'll see we're just importing some libraries, right? JSON OS for the environment variables, Boto3, which is the Python SDK for AWS. We're also importing Power Tools here, in particular the logger, the metrics, and the tracer. Those utilities, we're initializing them here. Session stuff is nothing crazy, and then we have these decorators that are going to be super useful later when it comes to the logs. And obviously we're going to spend a good chunk of time on SAM logs, but yeah, just showing you that. Cool. So now that I've shown you everything, first I want to SAM build, right? And in particular, I'm waiting to see what happens here. I'm expecting it to fail, actually.
All right.
And I wonder why.
I don't want to.
Actually, Rob, can you tell me why?
Oh,
wait for the error message. Wait for the error message.
Yeah. Oh, dependencies. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Both Rob and I were like.
It's Python. I don't know what that means. I don't know.
No worries.
You mistyped build.
This wraps library here, it has some C bindings, and C bindings Mac. You can't. It won't just let me build locally. So instead, I'm gonna build using a container, and then this should work. And if it's your first time running this command, it might take a lot more time than this is going to take. So keep that in mind, right? But this should be pretty quick.
So while that's building, I'm going to jump in and explain because I saw someone say, okay, nice, or oi, nice. What this does, the container that it's going to use is representative of the runtime, or the basically the runtime it'll run in the cloud. So it'll actually pull down the AL1, AL2, depending on the container you've declared, and it'll run it and it'll build against that architecture. So very handy if I'm sitting on a Mac and I don't have Go set up for this, or I'm sorry, if I don't have Java set up or something like that. It doesn't work for all of them, and Go is one of the ones it's not working on at the moment. It's something it is being added, but it does work for like a Java or obviously Python. So very
cool.
helpful.
So after building, usually what I do is deploy. I've deployed before, obviously, so we're gonna actually, I'll show you. So in the directory, you'll see the samconfig.toml. And if you look at the samconfig.toml, it has all of the configurations that I've already passed through before. I'll close this, go back to app.py, and I'll just click through all of this. Cool, and it'll deploy.
All right.
So I have a question for you, Eric. I'm not sure.
We're getting heckled by the containers group right now, so there's going to be we're going to thumb war there, Brent. Thumb wrestle. Okay, go ahead. What's your question for me, Mo? I know your answer.
So I was expecting pushback. You didn't say anything.
Oh well,
but I named my function.
Yeah,
Why is that bad?
I was waiting for the right moment. So yeah. I want you to defend yourself. Why did you name your function?
So I named my function just for the purposes of the demo. In particular, later on when I use the SAM logs command, you got to pass in the name of the function, and I didn't want to like type out a bunch of stuff. I know it's a problem, but like naming your function is a problem when it comes to updating your resources and like making it require replacement, right? But are there any other reasons why you wouldn't want to name your function?
So I say don't name your function, because if you try to build this again, let's say you want to run a second version of this stack in the same region or something like that, it's going to crash because you're going to have naming duplications. It's going to run into that. So one of the most helpful things of being able to build regardless is never hard code names into your system. Now, I get where you're coming from. In a little bit, he's going to be showing SAM logs, and you can use the name of the function, which is going to be my hello world function. Let me tell you a little trick, Mo. You can also do this, and I think you already know this. It's more for everybody else. I can, instead of doing the actual knowing the name of the function, whatever CloudFormation happened to generate, I can also pass stack name and then the logical name. So if I know what I named my stack, which is, hey, Bob, so I can say stack name, hey, Bob, and then the logical name, which if you'll scroll up just a little bit, can you show the logical name of the template, is hello world function. So then Sam's smart enough to say, let me look at the stack, let me grab the logical function, and let me map it to the actual physical function. So really, really helpful. So
cool.
Yeah,
all right.
General, I think Molly Millions said, so don't put function names at all. I generally don't. To be honest, I don't name any of my resources. I let CloudFormation name them all, and I reference them from within the stack as I need it. Rarely do you need that name outside. The SAM logs is a good example. And so, Mo, I'm going to forgive you of this particular instance, but you can ask Rob. That doesn't happen a lot. So, not a lot.
Never done it for me. Never.
Yeah. Well.
So one other thing we need, right, is like before we can invoke, obviously, this template, like we said, has SQS as the event source for our Lambda function, right? So to invoke our Lambda function, I want to use SQS events. And to do that, I have an empty SQS.json here. And I can use the SAM CLI to populate it, right? So in this case, we can do SAM local generate event. And before we look at that specific one, I want to show you all of the different events or all of the different services where you can generate events from, right? So let me collapse this real quick. So you can see Alexa Skills Kit, API Gateway, Badge, CloudFormation, CloudFront, right? Down here, a lot of the messaging services, SES, SNS, SQS. So super useful. And in this case, we're going to do SQS. Oh, cool. And we're going to do receive message events. If you wanted to see what specific types of events SQS had, you could just do the -help flag. In this case, I know it's only receive message, so we're going to keep it that way. But SQS receive message, and you can use the other flags to kind of pass in other parameters. So before, I kind of want to show you, we'll pipe it into events. Here it is. Cool. And then this is just a vanilla SQS event, right? Nothing crazy. It doesn't get the name of my SQS queue, which if you saw earlier is hello SQS. It doesn't get my account ID because my account ID is not 1234. Right? It's not even in the right region, because if you looked at my samconfig.toml, my region is USDs2. So what you can do, very straightforward, is something like this, and then you can pass in those parameters. So if I wanted to pass in the queue name and the region, and instead of overwriting this, I'll just like append it. Oh, that's the -help. Let's try that again. Yeah.
Yeah, you had the -help at the end.
Boom. Yeah, let me get rid of that. Perfect. And just to compare the two. Oh no, what happened?
You might need to refresh that. Close and open that.
Yeah, you're right.
I've seen some weird.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it one more time. That should work. All right. There we go. Okay, so to compare the two, we have our region, USDs1, USDs2. You saw it's passing through those, the parameters that I passed in. Nothing crazy. I'm going to delete this.
You did an append there. That was awesome.
Nice.
I was like, how do you do that? I know how you did that. I'm easily excited. That was an append.
So I'm going to use this event to locally invoke first. Before we go into the console, I'm going to use this event to locally invoke. To do that, pretty straightforward, local invoke. You can use the -e flag or the --events flag to pass this event through. And you'll see
now,
a couple of things.
Let me interrupt you. Why did you use -e and not --event? Because you're stressing Rob out. I'm just saying.
Sorry, Rob.
This is bait, Mo. This is bait. Don't do it.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
-e, buddy. You're good with that.
No real difference, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, we invoke this event. You can see because of Lambda Power Tools, it actually like logged everything out. So it logged, like, because we have in the template we have, let's see if we can see it. We have log event turned to true, log the event, which is great. A lot of other metrics that otherwise you wouldn't have, like just built in. And there's a better way to kind of illustrate all of this, and we're going to do it here in a second. And to do it, we're going to hop into the console. So here we are in the console. This is the preview console, so it looks kind of nice. And we're going to hop into this function. So we're using aliases. Good way to make sure that you're keeping track of all your lambdas. And yeah, what do y'all think of this preview console, by the way?
I like it.
I like it too.
I can't turn.
I like it too.
My favorite feature is the test function.
Yes.
I don't want to turn this into a console preview discussion, but
right.
Yeah. It's kind of my favorite feature too. The first thing I wanted to show is just kind of referencing the SAM CLI local, the SAM local generate event thing that we just did. Here's that same event almost. The only thing that's different is it actually auto-populates the region for you because we are in USDs2. But yeah, all of the other events, I'm pretty sure, are also you can generate from SAM CLI. Is that true? I assume so.
Yeah, it looks to be more than what can be done, but yeah, the different options. Yeah, so yeah. Yep, very, very, very helpful. So
yeah. And now I think that maybe the feature that you were talking about, Rob, is the fact that you don't have to save any of your test events before like invoking. Right. I can just invoke based on this test event, which is great. I'm gonna invoke based on that, and then I'm gonna add hello SQS so we can search for it later. Cool. So a couple of invocations there, and now we get to play with SAM logs.
SAM logs.
like I said, I named my function so I could pass in the -n flag and specifically say the hello world function is the logs that I want to pull.
You saw my judgmental shake of the head, right?
I didn't see it.
That you saw that.
But
And I
yeah,
made the
here's
little-
our world function. There's a region. I'm passing in my regions in particular. My default credentials actually they default to US East 1, so I'm passing in the region that I'm in right now. And before we get into filtering, I just kind of want to show you what this looks like. So look at this. This is beautiful. These are beautiful logs. Let's scroll all the way to the top really quickly.
So you keep telling what's happening with this? What is SAM logs actually doing?
So SAM logs is pulling the logs based on the invocations that the Lambda had, right? So it's just pulling those logs. I think you were going to say something else.
Yeah, well, the important distinction is it's pulling from production. You know what I mean? So you got a Lambda out there running in a Lambda function. Sorry, Chris Munns. If you have a Lambda function running out there in the cloud, and you want to know what's going on with it, and this is really helpful. And I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm just going to say this, then I'm going to shut up unless I don't. This is really helpful for asynchronous stuff. Trying to figure out, is my Lambda function triggering or being invoked on something asynchronous that I can't necessarily get an instant response from. So, sorry, I'm fired. Yeah, Chris just okay, yeah. You would be the one he slacks. AM, I appreciate that. So, Eric just got fired on his own show.
Oh man. So real quick, I just wanted to talk about these logs, right? So, first of all, look at how beautiful these logs are.
They are beautiful.
Right? They are, right?
It's a beautiful thing.
Structured
logs.
If I could coin a term that's never been used before.
Right. Structured logging with Lambda Power Tools. You see that the event itself was logged out because we have that property turned to true, like I mentioned earlier. It even passes the name of the service, which is Messenger. The metrics utility in Lambda Power Tools allows you to capture cold start metrics too. So I have that turned on, and you can see the theory matches the experimentation here, right? When I deployed, we could essentially configured a new execution environment, and the first invocation turned out to be a cold start. We'll look at the other invocations. Hopefully those weren't cold starts either. Cold starts are completely overblown problem, I think, for Lambda. But anyway, you can see the function name, the memory size, the function ARN. There's even the X-ray trace ID here. And yeah, this is pretty cool. Now, SAM logs defaults to since 10 minutes ago, right? So oftentimes maybe you want to get like all of the logs since yesterday. And so you can actually be very like relative in terms of time. So these are all of the logs since yesterday. Instead, we'll wait for it to actually do something. Perfect. There's also, you can do like SAM logs, and you can set an end time. So between yesterday and let's say 5 mins ago. Right. And I'm not sure what the upper bounds of how relative you can be are, right? I think like minutes probably. I'm not sure if you can do hours.
No, yeah. I think you might be able to do hours. Yeah, I know you can do minutes though. So yeah.
Okay.
That's
yeah. And I'm not sure if you can do 2 years ago or whatever, right? But yesterday works just fine. And then if you don't want to be relative at all, you can also do timestamps, right? So you can do since 2020 1108, see if that pulls anything up. Well, actually, I said since. Yeah. The -s flag is actually the start flag. It's not since, but it's easier for me to think about it as like logs since this time. Yeah.
Now, would you say that confusion would have been avoided if you had been using the expanded --start the entire time?
Nope, I don't think so. Move on.
I feel like the first time, the first time you see start time, you're like, what does this mean, right? And yeah, like I said, you can be relative or specific with the timestamps. And then with SAM logs, like you probably saw earlier, I'll use the expanded because I'm not sure if there's a -f flag for filtering, but you can actually filter based on text. So you can say hello SQS, and in particular, one thing that's interesting to me is like cold starts, right? So
Hey, I'm going to ask you real quick. We have a question from the group from an AM Grob. I think it's Dr. AM, if I'm not mistaken. Can we set these at millennia?
Can we set these at millennia?
Yeah, he wants to know if you can ask for all logs in the last millennia. He's trying to be helpful, I can tell.
I'm not sure. He's not being helpful. He's being...
That's an official. We'll get back to you, Mr. AM Grob.
That is. I mean, I don't see why not, but that's a lot of logs. And I made this function, I think, the beginning of this week. So there are not logs.
You can request it, but it comes to you in a snowmobile. So
there's that. I'm not sure if a millennia is 5 years or
millennia is a
1,000. 1,000 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm taking that to
So the answer is no, right? Because Lambda is not 1,000 years old.
That's right. Yeah. Silly. Come on, Am. Think it through.
So what we did was we used this command here, SAM logs, and we did the -- filter flag, and we're looking specifically for cold start indicate, or all of the logs that have cold start in them, which is useful, I think, because then we can go and we can check to see earlier if that theory matched the experiment, right? So you saw when I invoked a few times, the first invocation was a cold start, true. We're looking at the timestamp here, 3/6/18, 25, 42. And then 18, 25, 42, I'm not sure what that is. You can see the message received, by the way. Look at that. Instead of just a print statement, we have logger.info with message received. And look at this beautiful, this is beautiful to me, structured logging. But yeah. You can see that was still the first invocation, 18, 25, 42. The next invocation, it's printing out the logs again, and you can see wasn't a cold start, just like I expected. 18, 25, 43 was not a cold start. So,
hey, Mo.
Boom, yeah.
Can you filter on nested fields? Like, can you filter on like message.records.body or something like that? Or is filter just a plain text filter?
I'm not actually sure.
Filter.
I think it's a plain text filter because I was playing with like trying to see if I could do something like this maybe.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't do anything at all. So
cool.
Probably just a plain text filter, but if someone knows the answer, let me know. I'll look into it. And yeah, this is really it. Lambda Power Tools made me look like I knew what structured logging was like. I knew what makes me seem like an observability expert, even though I'm not. Super simple to use, to just like if you're starting a project, just SAM init and use the GitHub link and pull that repo and get to it. I think.
Hey Mo, can you show those decorators again real quick? Okay, yeah.
Yes,
that's what you're doing.
There they are. So the log metrics decorator, you see we have this capture cold start metrics parameter that's set to true. We're injecting some context here. We're tracing as well. And yeah, this Lambda function, you can see nowhere in this Lambda function do I have am I purposely printing this out, right? These are all the decorators doing the heavy lifting for me.
All right, Mo, try this. Try this. Ready? Okay. Yeah. Do the same logs, and for the filter, I want you to do, and this could be wrong. For the filter, do a begin. We're gonna do a JSON, so begin curly, and then do quotes, and then do your cold underscore start in quotes, and then colon, and then do quotes true. Or I'm sorry, just do. Here I think it's just going to be a quote. Yeah, try that. It may need the quotes there, but let's see.
Oh no,
didn't work. Huh? All right, try putting quotes around that, around the true.
Try that again. Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna work on that. Yeah, because so I posted the links to the actual SAM logs, but the syntax it uses is from the CloudWatch. So I'm gonna post that link as well here, so you can take a look at that if you want to play around with it first to get it right. Rob will buy you a car. So it's that's how we work here. So all right.
That's all I had. That's all I had.
Hey, we got. AM's throwing his hat in. We could try that. Did you see what he's doing there with the single quotes around it? Let's try that real quick. Here, I'll pull it up on the screen.
Single quotes around.
Yeah, see on the screen. Oh, I don't know if you can see the screen. I'm sorry. So yeah, if you can do the filter.
There might be an inception here. Let me stop sharing real quick. Oop.
Okay.
All right. Pull it up on the screen for me. Oh, cold start. Oh, the whole thing in quotes. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've tried that before too. Let me see.
No, he's saying single quotes. You do the one above, like this.
So single quotes all around, like this?
Yep. I'm going to bring your sharing back in. Is that okay?
Yeah. Go for it.
Here we go. Does it work? You still need the quotes around. Still need the quotes around cold start.
All right.
So this is how we roll. This is how we do this. If you're just joining us, we're figuring it out.
Nope.
Okay. I got to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little happy that didn't work because if AM had got it and we didn't, that really frustrated me. So that's prideful. I'm gonna openly admit that. So there you go. But there you go. So yeah, we'll mess around. Awesome. We'll figure it out. Mo, do you have anything else you want to show? Or I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that was it. Yeah,
that's it. All right. Hey, I want to say thank you very much for doing this. Yeah, this was great. I hope you out there watching Lambda Power Tools and then the SAM utilities like logs, generate event, validate. Ooh, that was creepy. Yeah, that was whoa. So very powerful. I'll tell you a little anecdote about this. I rarely use anecdote properly in a sentence, but I think I have here. A little anecdote about this is I was trying to figure out. I have a URL shortener that I built that's all using VTL, that kind of thing, and I was trying to figure out real-time analytics. So I have CloudFront hitting API Gateway, hitting DynamoDB. That's the application. But I'm also doing CloudFront just released real-time logging in the last month or so, where I can pipe logs real-time into a Kinesis that triggers Lambda to write stuff up. So that's an asynchronous Lambda function, right? And so one of the cool things, and I don't know if you showed this, Mo, but you can add the -T to SAM logs. Any logging you're doing, add the -T, and it's going to tail, and it's going to grab logs about every second. Okay, so every 1 to 72 seconds, right? Somewhere in that small gap. Now, every 1 to 3 or 4 seconds, and it'll update those logs to keep you updated. So I was testing here, and I had my logs tailed here, and I could see if it was working on the Lambda in production. Super helpful at debugging, knowing exactly what's happening in real time, not having to go to the CloudWatch console every time. So that's one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of great job, Mo's. Great job, Mo. If you could get AM to watch my show, we call that a win. So that right there in itself was a win. So AM doesn't think I work. This is proof I do at least 1.5 hour a week. So
everyone is probably wondering who AM is.
You tell them who everybody should know. AM.
AM is the Guy Fieri of AWS. That's how he's been described.
Yes.
But no, AM is like a good friend, a mentor, an awesome serverless person to know. So, yeah, we all love AM actually.
Yeah, I've done a show with him, and I won't do any more. So, no, I'm just kidding. I love AM. He's awesome. And what did we figure out? Because in our past history, you were Dr. something, and I was the Rev because of my past history as well. I can't remember. You have to watch it. It's a Happy Little APIs. Watch it with AM, where we talk about we proxied GitHub and GitLab. Dr. G, there it is. Dr. G in the Rev. So AM's giving me a hard time because you did all the work. I say that's called delegating, and I think that is I think it was professional. So there you go. All right. Well, enough inside jokes, enough of us rambling on. Mo, once again, thank you very, very much.
Yeah. Thanks,
Rob, I see you're here. That's great. No, Rob, thank you so very much. You're awesome, dude. You're always helpful. This is the last session with Sam for a while. So if hit us. You see all our Twitter handles here. Hit us if you have questions. With that, I'm going to say thanks. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I need ending music. Rob, sing.
You need